Just a second. Thank you all for showing up, and I'd like to, the microphone is too loud. I would like to thank you all for showing up, and especially the organizers of Hack in the Box and the sponsors of the conference for giving me the opportunity to give this talk. Just a second, I just need to add one more thing. So, I think probably all of you are familiar with social engineering. In fact, probably most of you practice social engineering with the people you interact. Kevin Mitnick has a definition in his book, The Art of Deception, on the topic, that the social engineer is able to take advantage of people to obtain information with or without the use of technology. Well, this definition is a bit simple, but I think that the social engineer is someone who will try to obtain information by exploiting human weaknesses. And humans have many weaknesses. We are gullible, we believe in many things, and since we're a little kid, we're taught to believe in Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, and many fairy tales. So, we're going to take a look at many different techniques. Social engineering can be used in many fields, and as you will see, we're going to focus more on social engineering as a freaking tool or a hacking tool, something that you can use for doing pen tests or for doing other interesting things. We're going to start by a small case study. This case study is it's taking control of the Munich airport. And there's a guy in Europe called Kimball. That guy has a really bad reputation in the hacking and security community. I happen to know him for quite a while. And one of the best things he did a lot of bad things, and he hurt and pissed off a lot of people. But one of the funniest things he did was social engineering the Munich airport. And one time, I think maybe he was a bit drunk, he passed in front of the Munich airport, and there's those doors, for trucks and etc. Not the normal entrance. And it just stopped, and there was a security camera, and someone said, "Who are you?" And say, "Hi, we're with the Data Protect. We'd like to check your computers." And the door opened. They just let him in. And what was funny is that Kimball. Oh, wait, no picture. Oh, now this is Kimball. Actually, he's a bit fatter than that in reality. You'll see in the picture, it looks huge. And they managed to get access to a hangar, to planes, and even to... I'm going to show you the other pictures. Oh. There's a small technical problem. I just want to show you another picture. Well, I transferred the file and all the pictures are gone. Okay, well, they drove the Mercedes, near the plane. They went to the plane, got inside the cockpit, and after a few days, 2 or 3 days, they thought, oh, maybe we were just lucky, we just managed to get in. He was with his friend Sven and Matthias. So they went back to the airport during the day and did the same thing. The security officer just let them in, and they went to the control tower. And at the control tower, they ring a bell, there was an intercom, and they say, "Oh, we come for the computer security problem." "Ah, we were waiting for you, we have so many problems with viruses." And they just let them access all the computers in the control tower. He got in trouble for that. The airport didn't press charges against him. I think because the plane he was in was a Lufthansa plane. I think he's banned on the Lufthansa for life. But that gave him a lot of publicity. So, as I said earlier, social engineers is a really big family. We're going to focus on social engineering as a hacking tool, but you will see a lot of people around you use social engineering. Politicians social engineer you to get votes. Law enforcement use a lot of social engineering because in most cases, it's really hard to get the evidence. It's much easier to get confession from a criminal. Actually, in most hacking cases, the evidence is because, except maybe the Grok and a few other persons, I don't think there is any forensic expert that can stand in front of a court and really attest that this is real evidence. And so, because it's so easy to destroy evidence and everything, you will try to get, if you're a police officer, you will try to get a confession. And it's so much easier to get a confession. To get a confession, you have to social engineer the person. You're going to say, look, you have to talk. You're going to get, you know, the judge will be not happy if you talk. You won't go to jail. You will do this. And, well, I don't know, in America, you have even a special system for that, like the plea bargain system. In Europe, they will just put you in a room that looks really scary. They're going to tell you, oh, jail looks exactly like that. Actually, in jail they have TV and everything, you know. But in I think in Netherlands, in the jail, you can even order women from a catalog. But in the police station, you know, they will stress you and everything, and they will try to get the name of all your accomplices. They will try to know everyone in your address book, and they will get your confession, and they have a case. With the evidence, it's much harder. And even if the evidence is not really tangible, you know, showing the evidence can be a good social engineering trick. That's what happened to me before. Just before we go to the next slide, the other people, social engineering quite often is associated with scam. Like most crooks, they will use social engineering to abuse your trust and steal your money or steal money from grandmothers and everything. Now they use computer networks and internet, like everyone hear about phishing. Playboys also use social engineer. That's how they get so many girls. Hackers, phreakers, fisher, and also you. Probably everyone, you know, sometimes has to lie to the boss or to your wife, or, you know. Also, sometimes your wife might try to social engineer to get a new Gucci bag or a pair of sunglasses. About 10 years ago, that's what jump-started my career in security. I got in trouble for doing something. I don't know if you read the book, some of the books from Bruce Nair. He has a chapter on social engineering, and the first case study is about a French hacker who called the FBI office in Washington pretending to be Thomas Becker, and who was working at the US Embassy at the FBI legal office, and he convinced the person on the other end of the phone to connect him in reality, the first time I called, I didn't even know it was the FBI. I just call in and say, hi, I'd like to be connected to an outside operator. And it just connected me. Then the second time I called, I still didn't know it was the FBI, and I said, I want to be connected to 10288-0700-456-1000. And this phone number is really useful. 10288, it's the AT&T access code, and 0700-456-1000, it's for the AT&T Alliance teleconference system. So when you're back in I think it was in 1993, if you could make free phone calls, it was really useful, because I was living in France, internet was really slow. France Telecom, they had the Minitel, which was a really wide network. Everyone was using the Minitel, but the connection speed was 1,002 baud, and on the other side, 75 bauds. And you could reverse, it was a V21. And so it was really slow, and we could not stand it. So the only way to connect to a fast connection on the internet was to use a modem and call America. And at the time, in 1993, I think calling America was costing about $2 a minute. And when you're I was 17, 18 at the time, and it was really too expensive. So we had to find many different ways to defraud the phone system. And one of them was social engineering. We started with blue boxing, with many techniques: blue boxing, hacking PBXs, getting calling cards, finding many ways. But the easiest way I found was social engineering. That's why I became quite good at it. So the second time I called, they connect me to AT&T Alliance. And what's cool is that you can, for about 4 or 5 hours, you can dial any phone number. You can hang up on someone by pressing the star key. If you press pound, you can put the person inside the conference, and the person will get a message saying, please wait, until other parties will be added to the conference. So you can put 10 people inside the conference. You can go out of the conference by pressing pound. You can dial more numbers. And this is cool. You can even, connect to a computer. You just dial the BBS or the dial-up number. You press pound. You put the modem carrier inside the conference. Then you press pound again, and you type ATX3D on your modem terminal, and you're connected. There was many tricks, like also using a bit of social engineering. For example, you could call your BBS or your internet access provider collect from France. You just dial the phone number, and you hear the AT&T operator, and she will say, "Oh, I have a collect call from France. Sir, this is a fax." I accept, this is my fax. And she'll say, "Thank you for using AT&T." And then I press AT&T, ATX3D, and I will be connected. They only work with HST modems. With the V32BIS modem, it didn't work really well. You will be connected by 2400. That was not really good. So yeah, the third time I called, then I hear FBI headquarters. And the first time it was cut. You know, sometimes you call a company, you don't hear the beginning of the conversation. I said, "This is the FBI?" And I hang up. Then I call the embassy, asked to speak to the director of the FBI Legal office. And they say, "Just a minute." I say, "Wait, how do you spell his name?" And they say, "Thomas Baker." And she spelled me the name, and I say, "Oh, I think I got the wrong person." I hanged up. Just as an anecdote, you could listen in the French embassy in 1993, they were using a Meridian mail, and you could also listen to all the voicemail of everyone. Everyone was using default password, not only at the FBI, but also the US Air Force office, everyone at the embassy. And so I just called back the FBI headquarters, and now every time I was calling, and that worked for 3 months. What was cool compared to other companies where I could do that is that, well, they could afford the phone calls. And also, it was working 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. With other companies like Visa or American Express, you could also do the same thing, you know, but it wouldn't work all the time. So I used that for about 4 months to connect to internet. On one line, I was asking to be connected to a free internet access. And that was cool because you could hack into system from the American ISP, and you're using the FBI phone line. So if someone tried to trace the call to the ISP, well, it's the FBI doing the hacking. And, well, I didn't get busted for everything else, so that's cool. The only problem is that I'm really scared to go to America now. So we talked a little bit about social engineering as a phreaking tool. Phreaking, for those who don't know what it means, it's like a bit like you know, hacking the phone system. Emmanuel Gadet last year talked about phreaking, you know, the new telephone system, SS7, GSM, 3G, etc. But at the time we were trying to social engineer access to calling cards, to X25 network user identifier, and then after we could using X25 we could, you know, chat on QSD and other things. I think another speaker is going to talk about it. I met him when I was yeah, Raul is over there. I met him when I think I was 14 on QSD. If you know the NUA 020 80 57 040 57 040, you're probably a hacker. And if you interview someone about 30 years old, you just write down the number in front of him during the interview. You show him the number. If it doesn't react, you don't have to worry. He's not the old hacker. And also, you could make, you could hack PBX passwords. That was another interesting thing. To make free phone calls, another way was to call a company, pretend to be from AT&T, I think it was AT&T ARMate, and say that you had to do remote maintenance on their PBX, on their System 75, and you will say that, you know, your supervisor is not there, but you need the password and fix the problem. And once you had access to an AT&T System 75, I think they had 85 and Infinity, you could reprogram the PBX, create new extension number that will give you a dial tone. You could also create bridges, like a phone number. Everyone call that number, and you can talk together like in the teleconference. Also, you could call MCI and say that you want to call friends and build a phone call to this phone number that you programmed in the PBX. It also works with voicemail. And once the operator calls, you're connected with another line, and you say, "Yes, I accept to pay for the charges," and that will work. Also, in the FBI, what you could do is do a CNA, current name and address lookup. And what's funny is that after 3 months, they started to notice. And I realized that they knew what was going on because I was asking to be connected to a ISP. So you're supposed to have a modem carrier. But every time I called, they would connect me to a fax. So they thought I was sending faxes somewhere using their phone line. So I plugged my fax machine and I sent them about 20 or 30 pages of black. And then after, I was still using that system for, I think, another few months until I got busted for it. It didn't work at the switchboard, but I didn't tell anyone because they were a bit ashamed of their thing. So you just had to ask to be transferred to another department, and that will work. And sometimes they will say, but, you know, why, you know, Tom, who are you? Then I will say, I'm Thomas Becker. And it's, oh, how's the weather in Paris and everything. But that was fun, until someone came and showed me like 20 tapes of recording, like really embarrassing recordings, and say, well, you know, you're in trouble. And the cops were really happy with this case, you know, because it was good publicity, not only for me, but also for them. And I thought it will burn me for my career. I thought, oh, my career in IT is dead. I was in love with computers and networks and everything. I was like, I won't be able to work with computers anymore. Actually, I was banned for 1 year to use a computer. And I was still giving interviews in front of a computer, and I didn't wait 4 years like Kevin Minnick. I just say, look, this is abusive, you know? And it's like if they cut my fingers, you know? This is torture. It's against human rights. And actually, instead of being burned, like I started getting invited to conferences, like Roberto was talking about corporate espionage and things like that. Under the assembly, they had those conferences on economic intelligence, and they were inviting me. They invited me to security talk and everything. And they say, oh, you're the guy who, well, okay, they were using a dirty word, F word. And I say, yes, and say, oh, congratulations. And they were again using the F word and say, the Americans. So, social engineering, now I've been doing pen tests for the last 10 years for a lot of companies, and social engineering is really useful. I mean, most of the time when we do a pen test, we start by profiling. Then after, we look at all the modems, we start dialing. You know, every time you sign an SLA, a service level agreement, the vendor is going to stick a modem somewhere. So we dial all the phone numbers. Like to dial, over the weekend, we can dial like 3,000 phone numbers. In Indonesia, it's really cheap to dial phone numbers. And you will find about 100, for one target, if it's a big bank, for example, you're going to find 150 modems. Then after, we're going to look at wireless networks, we're going to look at many things. And before we even look at the web server, we're already in. Either through the modem or through social engineering. As you will see later, we even walk in and do physical pen test. And I always say, look, we always succeed a pen test, you know, we even kidnap the admin if we have to. So, social engineering is a hacking tool. Like we did a pen test for a bank about three years ago. They included in the scope all the service providers and everything. One of the service providers was an application service provider. They were running online banking for several banks. And they agreed to join the mission and share the cost of the pen test. So first thing we did, we took over the domain. Like the domain for that online banking system, it was registered to the ASP, but one of the contacts, the billing contact was using his email address at the ISP. So what we did is we did a bit of Photoshop, and I contacted the technical support and said, hey, look, I just reinstalled my computer and I don't remember my password. It was saved before, and now it doesn't work anymore. How can I, you know, I need to access my mail. So you have to send your ID card, and send a fax, your ID card, and the password you want. I said, okay, no problem. So I went to my accountant, took his ID card, changed the name on it in Photoshop, changed the name of the ID card, and faxed the thing, and they reset the password, logged in. As soon as it worked, I connected to, I think it was register.com, and said I forgot my password, so they sent a message to reset the password. And that was it. I took control of the domain. From there on, we could do man-in-the-middle attack. We could do man-in-the-middle attack. We could hijack any mail going to that domain. We could, what else we could do? It was really a problem. If you look at the network of trust analysis that we did during the profiling phase, if you take control of a domain name, usually everything under falls. So that was interesting trick. Another trick we did also to take over a username and password, that was in France. The tech support was a little bit smarter. They were asking the last 4 digits of the credit card to verify if I was the rightful subscriber. So I didn't know the credit card number. So I called billing and I say, hi, I'm Mr. Thomas, and I have a new credit card. And I'm scared you're going to shut me off at the end of the year because my previous credit card is expired. And they say, oh, Mr. Thomas, what is your new credit card number? I say, here it is. And I gave a random credit card number. Then they input in the billing system, and 5 minutes later I call back tech support. Now they have my new credit card in the database, and I can reset the password. Changing password ASP, dropping CD-ROM. I was going to do something at the conference, but I didn't have time to do it. But I was going to burn some CD. CDs, most Windows computer, they have auto-run. So if you put a CD in your computer, it will run an executable. And you know, most antivirus, and they will try to detect Trojans and everything, but they only detect Trojans that they know of. So that's why when you buy a game from the store and you put it in your PC, you know, there's a menu coming up. It's like executing a program, and you don't have a message from your antivirus saying that, you know, oh, there's a Trojan. So what I was thinking of doing is like burning CDs, dropping them around, and putting confidential or putting some, you know, kinky title, and wait until someone put it in his laptop. And then let's say, and when you put a CD-ROM, there's a window, it will say, congratulations, you win a ticket for the next conference. And you have to come up during my talk. And this is what we do during a pen test. That's one of the things we do. We go, we drop CDs in the lift, CDs in places. We also deliver USB thumb drive. You know, nowadays there's many worms and everything. There's a lot of security awareness around emails and email-borne viruses. So they say, oh, you should not open attachments, dangerous. So before it was really easy. We just send an email and we have a Trojan in the machine. And because there is no segregation network in most companies, you take control of one workstation, you take control of everything. Now it's harder for doing social engineering. So what we do is we take a USB thumb drive, we put, for example, the name of the bank, beta.exe, or put some interesting file, put it in an envelope, and either I can deliver it myself or send a courier, deliver it to the secretary of the CEO, and then I make a phone call. I tell the guy, say, when you arrive, you have to give me a phone call. Then I call the secretary and I say, hey, I send you this document. I mean, I need it signed today. And it's in that file. It's a .exe. The file is encrypted and the password is blah, blah, blah. Then she will try to open it and will say the file is corrupted, but I already have a Trojan on their computer. And that's really easy. And it will defeat most firewalls, intrusion detection system, etc. From this, because most firewalls, they will low web traffic. And even if you use zone alarm and everything, there's some tricks you can use, you know, to bypass that. And what else we can do? We can steal the content of USB thumb drives. Like earlier, I borrowed a USB disk from someone to transfer my file between two computers. Well, it didn't ask it back, so it's still there. So now it's mine. But usually when you ask to transfer a file, like for example, Chen, you asked me to copy the presentation, yeah? So you pass me your thumb drive, and while I'm looking for the file, I have a script running on my laptop, which is making a DD image of the thumb drive. What's cool about it is that not only you copy all the file from the thumb drive, but you also copy all the deleted files that you can, if you've been to the Greg training or to his presentation, you will see it's quite easy to retrieve deleted data from file system. What else you can do? Social engineering is a hacking tool. You can offer a free hotspot internet. Let's say you do a pen test and there's a canteen. So you go to the print shop, you pay $100, you print a standard bannier like the one ZoneEdge has for his hacking contest, and you put the logo of the company, free internet access. And that's a good way to test the security awareness and test the policies and controls in the company. And you put a Linksys access point, or you even put a computer with a wireless card, and on the message you say it's the same password, single sign-on, it's the same password you use for the company, for email and everything. And once you type that password, they're a bit disappointed because it says, okay, thank you for trying the new internet access, but it will be up next week. And that's one of the tricks. And you can also take an internet host down. We're doing a job for a credit card company, and there was this website. They had you know, in France, when you go to expensive shop, you go to Kenzo or Ralph Lauren, and you pay with a credit card, even below $500, they will not call the banks, because there's only rich people who can afford to shop in those shops. And the problem is that all those keys, all the credit cards are signed with a key. And there's a guy, I forgot his name, I have bad memory for names, managed to crack the key that was used to sign all those credit cards. And I think still today, it's still possible to make a yes card. So they just monitor the fraud. When the fraud increases, then they will check the bank. But it's still possible today to create a yes card, which is signed. You type any PIN number, and it will approve the transaction. And the transaction is approved without calling the bank. It's in disconnected mode. They have a system like that. The credit card also records the transaction. So if you do many transactions like this, after a while, you know, that it reaches a limit, then it has to call the bank. But it's cool because you can pay your credit card from a taxi, even if the taxi is not connected. So the thing about the credit card is that there was a website that had the diagrams and the schematic to make a yes card. They call it the yes card because it always says yes. And they also had a really, really good credit card generator with all the prefix for the French banks. So they contacted me and they say, hey, Anthony, can you take this site down for a month? We want to know. They didn't contact me directly. They contacted me through someone. That's the thing. You know, people always say, you know, can you trust Anthony? Well, they don't need to trust me. And quite often, the people bring me the projects, you know, they don't even tell I'm the one doing the job. So what was funny is that they say, well, you need to take that website down. So it's a bit of a problem for me, you know, because I don't want to do illegal things anymore. Always, you know, stay on the edge. And the idea I had, the first one was like, I look at the ISP and I look at the user acceptable use policy. So I saw, oh yeah, they're not allowed to transfer a lot of data because it's a really cheap co-location. So the first idea I had, I say, okay, I'm gonna flood them with requests and overload the quota. And it was a bad idea because trying to do that, I overloaded my own quota. And so then I had a good idea. I called the ISP, asked to talk to the legal services, and I say, hi, I am Anthony, and I work for one of the major credit card company. Let's just remove the name, yeah? And I think you have one of your users doing things that annoys me, that annoys my client, and we would like to avoid any legal pursuit. And you're going to lose a lot of money, we're going to lose a lot of time, email, and we shut down the site. And well, it was really funny because I was asked to shut down the site only for 1 month. And the guy got a bit scared and didn't put the site up for a month. By the way, I'm not the one who was running that site, yeah? Time, and we can solve this, you know, in a friendly manner. And they say, of course, what is the problem? And I explained the problem about the credit card software and everything and the diagrams. And they say, send me a fax, send me an email, and we shut down the site. And well, it was really funny because I was asked to shut down the site only for 1 month. And the guy got a bit scared and didn't put the site up for a month. By the way, I'm not the one who was running that site, yeah? And I think I got paid quite a lot of money for doing this. And he didn't ask the details, but it took me about 30 minutes, like to draft the fax, draft the email, make it sound legal sounding, you know. I'm not a lawyer, but I spend a lot of time in courtrooms. And so you can also use it for profiling a target. As we'll see later, you know, you can pass as a journalist. That's why it's important. I mean, this talk, you know, is, you know, it's not to scare you, it's to build awareness, because, you know, everyone receives phone calls from journalists, from a lot of people and everything, and there is certain identities that you can use to get a lot of information. If you flatter people, if you say you're a journalist, you want to interview someone, the person is flattered already, and it will tell you a lot of things it's not supposed to tell you. So it's really useful for profiling the target. You can interview the service provider, you can interview the vendor, if you go to the vendor and you say, look, I need a system like that for my client, have you got experience like this? And they will tell you about all the previous projects. And if it's a core banking system vendor, they will tell you all the details. I say, and for this bank, how did you do it? And for the redundancy, and you keep asking questions like this, he's going to tell you everything. The only side effect for me is that after people, the second time, it's a bit harder. Like, remember for the ISP, the lawyer came to me and forced me to sign a letter saying that I will not do it again. That's how they solve the problem. And the ISP is completely insecure still. There's one of you is from Jakarta, probably know the ISP. Now let's go to the interesting part. Most of our clients are banks. So you can use social engineering also to rob a bank. So we were doing this project. So again, before we even looked at the social engineering phase, we already compromised the bank. We already compromised the core banking network, the core banking DMZ, using just a modem. There was an engineer from IBM he put a secure storage. Then next to it, he put a machine to do the monitoring, be able to comply to the service level agreement, and put a modem next to it. And the username and password was service. So on the Cisco router as well, sorry. That was from a gold partner. You know the level of qualification for vendors, like you have gold, silver, bronze. Okay, the gold one is the highest qualified. So username, it was harder to find. It was not Cisco. It was the name of the bank. So the username was the name of the bank. The password was the name of the bank. And the enable password, I'll let you guess, was the name of the bank. For that, Cisco was quite useful because all the branches was connecting to it. So not only using dial-up, also using VPN, using VSAT and all kinds of telecommunication system. And for each ATM machine or branches, the password was really harder. It was the name of the building or the name of the branch. Again, remember, we have to respect those guys. They are gold partners, system integrators. But that's also a form of social engineering, like destroying the competition. So, what we managed to do is steal the source code just doing social engineering. Well, not just doing social engineering. Social engineering can be a precursor for more technical attacks. But to get access to the internal LAN on a development floor operation and promotion, we use social engineering. And we managed to steal the ATM source code, the online banking source code, the core banking source code, and the payment gateway source code. And we had the possibility to commit backdoor from QA as well. We also took control of the network used by QA, and we could commit changes to the production environment. And we also managed to backdoor operation and promotion. We didn't plan to do that, because on the development floor, we managed to access the network from the conference room. But first, to get to the conference room, we went into the building. The first time I did that, I was really scared. But after the second time, it was easy. It's like the first time with a girl, And because on the phone, it's really easy. I will show you later. But on the phone, it's really easy to do it because you're not in front of the person. But physically, it's a little bit harder. So we walked in the bank, and we went to development floor. So development floor, no receptionist. There was a phone. You have to call someone inside, and he will open the door. So there was a waiting room. We just sit with our laptops. I was with my colleague, and I had a bundle of wire in the hand. I was wearing a suit, but with the bundle of wire, they think, oh, that must be a highly paid consultant. And we wait until someone come out from the lift, and then there's someone coming. So we just stand up, we pack. He opens the door, we follow him. And the entrance is like this, and then it goes around the building. The lift is in the middle of the building, and it goes around like this. So what we do is we travel around, and we come back from the other side. So when you come back from the other side, they think you're already here for a long time. They don't know when you came in. And then I go to a lady and I say, hi, can I use the conference room, please? And she said, sure, let me check if it's booked. And so she checked the door, and there's a list, and said, oh yeah, you can use it. I just need it for 10 minutes. Then I go inside, put my laptop, plug in the power socket. Then I cannot find it's really dumb, I cannot find the Ethernet plug. So I walk out, I say, hi, excuse me, I cannot find the network plug. I said, oh, it's behind the piece of furniture, let me show you. You know, until then, no one asks us any question, who we are, you know, what we're doing, you know. And, okay, from the conference room, we hacked everything. We run just a script, we don't have a long time, so we just look for the latest Windows vulnerability, and there was 400 potential targets, and we managed to compromise about 100 machines. And on those machines, we were quite lucky, that's what we found on them. And then we go to operation floor, and we go to, and we did the same after to the operation promotion. Operation is interesting because everyone is trying to secure the system. Everyone is trying to secure the data center. But no one is trying to secure the people that have the password to bypass all those security mechanisms. So we went to operation, and they were smarter because from the conference room, we could not access the network. They had port security. So, well, we could have, you know, tricked that. You know, we could have, you know, grabbed the MAC address of another machine, and or just unplug the machine. But I just went to someone and I grabbed the USB. That's the third attack involving USB flash disk. And excuse me, you use Windows XP or Win2K? Can you help me? You have to do me a favor. There's a file on this USB flash disk. I don't know if it's corrupted or if it's a problem on my computer. Can I try to open it? And the name of the file was the name of the bank, beta.exe. No problem. Double click, there's some error message. Thank you. And the Trojan used the proxy setting, connect to my machine at the office, and we have control of this machine. And from there, we could propagate. Actually, we didn't really care because already with the modem, we already compromised everything. From the data center network, they didn't trust anyone, but everyone trusted the data center network. So we did many other things. Like the CEO, he had a Linksys access point, and well, it was on the access point. It says reliable and secure, 256-bit encryption. Yeah, well, it's not enabled by default, you know, that's kind of stupid. And the password is admin by default. So from the street, we spent about half an hour, you know, grabbing emails from the prison commissioner, from the CEO, from other people and everything. And it was quite fun. We did many other things. It was like the report, it was like a Tom Clancy movie. And after what we did, we back to the operation. We also, because then, like the client knows that, you know, I tell them, you know, I can do social engineering and everything, so we had to do some stuff on the phone. So I'm going to make you listen to, I'm going to pause the presentation 2 seconds and just make you listen to, it's not the best one. I was a bit tired, I was with Jim, and we recorded this, so it's really not the best one. I will tell you some of the best I did then after. Is the sound plugged on this thing?
Wait a second. What is your... Hello? Yeah? Yeah, what is your username? Username? Yeah. Apri. Apri. Yes. Apri. Hey, is your password Apri as well? No, my password is 3 313. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. 13. Okay, thanks a lot. We're doing the check.
Yeah, I cut it after I told her that the password was not really good and she should change it as a security measure. But the best one was like recently I was doing a training, similar training I did like on wireless security, and I was talking with the security manager and he said, here it will not work. We did a security awareness program, and the people, they've been really well briefed. So in front of him I called billing, and I got a girl on the phone and I say, hi, this is Anthony Zboralski. I'm doing a security awareness survey. We need to ask you some questions, so don't be scared, you know, we don't even put your name. We respect your privacy. You're not going to be fired, but you have to answer truthfully. If you don't answer truthfully, you might get in trouble. You say it friendly, you smile, you joke, and everything. And I asked her if she was using the same password, you know, for the single sign-on, if she was using that same password on other systems, like for example, Yahoo Messenger, MSN, what else? Skype, and some others. She said, no, I don't use. I say, really? I say, and what about your password? When is the last time you changed your password? And she told me, oh, about a month ago. I said, okay. And now what is your password? And she said, December, right away. And by the way, that was in August. So I said, hey, are you sure you didn't change your password in December? And well, she said, maybe I shouldn't have told you my password. Is it bad? I say, look, I'm not going to report you. Just change your password and make sure this doesn't happen again. Okay, thank you. And that's it. I got it. And the security manager, he was like, they're going to report it to me. So let's go back to the presentation. I don't know if we have still time, but it's nearly finished. I don't have many slides, but I spent too much time. So dropping CD-ROM, we have Windows XP. Yeah, I told you this one. And one thing about social engineering, it's really important to build many, to ask many trivial questions to build trust. If you call and say, hey, what's your username and password, that works with a taxi company, but that might not work with someone who's, you know, like the billing company of a telco company. And you have to build trust. You ask many questions which is not confidential, not sensitive. You sound like, you know, you're the boss. You're the one who's asking question, but you have to be friendly. And people, they will not know when to stop. You know, they say, okay, I can answer the question, I can answer the question, I can answer the question. Maybe this one, oh, I can answer it. Let's get over it. And that works. Then, we already talked about the free wireless internet. There's another trick you can do. This is to gain the trust. To build the trust, if you have a target, what you could do. We don't do that for a pen test. This is just an example. You know, for example, someone doing intelligence work, they want to gain the trust of someone. You know, they can offer a golf tournament ticket. And with a golf tournament ticket, you can do many things. You can sponsor the lucky draw, and you put the condition, say, look, I'm going to offer a Nokia Series 60 for the lucky draw, but I want to be the one announcing the winner and everything, you know. So they let you do that, you know, you go to a charity and everything, and what you do, you make sure that the target puts his business card in the ball. And when you plug inside, you just grab the business card. If you learn magic tricks, you can hide it on your hand, like with the cigarette trick. And you pick up the card and, Jim Jovidi, you want a Nokia Series 60. And he comes, pick it up and everything. But the Nokia Series 60 is a special one. It's running a Trojan, and he gets 5 million rupees of Pulsar, so he can make phone calls also. And that's interesting for law enforcement, you know, because one of the tools they use for corrupting judges and things is it's a Nokia phone, latest model with about $500 of phone credits. But that phone is cool because it's a prepaid card, but that has GPRS enabled. There's a couple of telco providers that offer them, and every week it will connect back to me and tell me, you know, the new addition to the phone book. You know, like I can ask him to ask the backdoor to search the SMS and do many other things on the phone. That's another trick. Another trick is, this is not really related to hacking, but it might be important for security. It's just to show you the problem of trust. In France, you can go to the bank and put money on a bank account, and you can go every week, put like $100 on the bank account. They will not ask you ID. And actually, if the banker knows you, in a policy, they have to be fast. And if they can identify the person, because they know, okay, this guy, the face, it's this bank account, this name. They will you know, associate you to the bank account. You never withdraw money. You don't never do anything bad. You're giving money to someone, $100 every week. Then one day you show up, you take all the money on the bank account. And you can do that in any branches, so you just avoid the branch of the target. And that can work. And this is just to illustrate the problem of trust. Like earlier, this Roberto was talking about intelligence. And it's really smart, no one knows what the network card is, but you can buy an embedded firewall, and the network, it looks like a network card, but it's a complete computer, yeah? But he got tricked earlier. I went to the front desk, and I say, hi, my room is, that's the card, he has a card in the hand, that's not his card, but he opens his door. I went to the front desk, and I say, hi, I left my key inside. Can you reprogram a card for me? What room number? 2812. Roberto? I say, yes, Roberto Priatoni. And, to make it more real, I started flirting with the girl. And she said, okay. And she's a bit stressed. I look in her face, she was not really sure. Maybe she already spotted Roberto. So she tried to trick me. And that's a good security measure. She went and she said, room 2810, right? I say, no. And I gave the right room number. And she gave me the key. Then I went to Roberto. Before I went to his room, took his PSP, his wallet, and his laptop. I copied the pawn first, and after I give it back to you. He has the full collection of Rocco Siffredi movies. Sorry, I lost. That's another trick also. I mean, it's really crazy. I'm a member of some charity club, like those Rotary Club and that's funny because they let me in, even though in the chart they say I'm supposed to have ethics. And so they don't check. But anyway, I'm doing a lot of good things, for the community. We help street children to go to school, etc. But I try to avoid, saying that I'm the computer expert. But from time to time, there's a guy join the club, and he's the computer expert. And I told him, I don't touch computer anymore, because if you say you're a computer expert, everyone asks you, can you help me with my laptop? Can you help me with my internet connection? And all those guys, they are CEO of big companies. And that's really, really, really a risk, because those clubs, it's a bit boring, really boring. I think we could do more than what we're doing. And I kind of get out, because the chairman is in charge of damn it, this is recorded on video, maybe he's going to watch it. And I have to go every week. If I don't go, he calls me and everything. And he knows I'm a computer expert, so every time I go, he will ask me favors. And damn, I forgot what I wanted to say, sorry. They will trust anyone that has computer skills. And they will let anyone in, because normally they're supposed to select who gets in, who gets out of those clubs. But, because you have to go every week, you have to have an attendance of 60%. The club, they die. Like sometimes we're 20 people, sometimes we're 10. And when the club is at 10, well, anyone can get in. Because you have to make the numbers, otherwise you have to join another club and desolate it. But that's really a security risk, because, all those CEOs, they're in those clubs, because it's really good for networking. And they're all vulnerable to attack. You just have to pose as a computer expert, and they will give you their laptop. They will, give you their laptop. You can take it home, put all the backdoors and Trojan you want. They trust really easily. And that's one of the biggest problem in security, in information security. You will see it's trust. We trust the vendors. We trust the service providers. We trust all our employees. We trust people really easily, and we don't have any segregation in network duties. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems. And also, we have to look at this if we want to fight social engineering attack. Another thing is flattering and seducing people. Like, people are really receptive to compliments. And that can be useful. Also, social engineering can be useful also to approach someone. Like, one trick, if you want to, that's a trick you can use not for hacking, but for hacking the woman you love, yeah? Or but you can, for example, you look at a girl in the street, you like her, and you're too shy to approach her. Actually, I'm one of the shyest person, probably. Like, every time I go on the stage, I'm really scared. And but you see a girl, you like her and everything, and you just look at her in the eye, then you look around, and you say no like this with your head. Look again, say no again. And when I was still single, 6 times out of 10, the girl will come and I say, do we know each other? And, you know, it helps a lot, you know, because if she's not interested, she's not going to come. So social engineering can be used also for that. Posing as a policeman. Posing as a policeman also can be a useful trick. People, they don't challenge authority. That's the problem. You know, every time we do social engineering, we steal password from someone, we say we're from IT. Because the IT people, they're the police in the company. And you pose as a policeman, you pose an IT person, it's really easy to get things done, you know, or the opposite. Also job interview, and it works both ways. You want to learn about your competitor? You put an ad, and you interview people. And you're going to learn about your competitors. And the other way around. Your competitor, they put a job offer, you just send someone, you send your nephew or someone. And you learn about them, what are the project, what skills they need, etc. And this is, you know, everyone does it, you know, and that's social engineering as well. What else? When internet is down, in my country, in Indonesia, I'm French, but my country now is Indonesia. In Indonesia, internet is down really quite often, depending on the ISP or the connection you use. But for example, if you use a DSL, nowadays it goes down quite a lot. Before it was cable internet. But what's cool is that when the internet is down, it's not down for 1 hour. Sometimes it's down for 1 day or 1 day and a half. You're doing a pen test, the internet is down, you know that they're using cable, and cable is down, you go to the target and say, hi, I'm from the cable company. We have to fix something, I think your internet is down. Ah, God, we cannot stand you, thanks. We called you 10 times already, you don't answer the phone. I say, no, no, you're not the only one who has this problem. That's another one that's really scary. I say open source, maybe it's not really fair because you can also compromise commercial project. Like for example, not everything in the Macintosh is open source, but people, they download dashboard widgets. They download many software and everything. So even plugins, they will download skins, you know, for a new version of Internet Explorer or Firefox or extensions and things like that. So yeah, you can have a core development team that will focus on security, will make sure that all the problems are resolved and everything, but they cannot control the quality and the security of 1,000 plugins or widgets or, you know, what have you. And so one social engineering trick you can do if you're a bad guy is to compromise open source projects. And compromising open source project is really easy. Anyone can become a Debian or Gen 2 developer, for example. Anyone can contribute a patch to any software. And that's where social engineering, you know, like connects to technical skills and everything. Because it doesn't work if the patch or if the changes you submit is not useful. So you make something really useful. You spend your time and you make something really, really useful and you submit it. And maybe this is what happened in, I think, 1996, when someone submitted a patch to fix a man-in-the-middle attack in SSH. And everyone installed that patch. The maintainer, they put the patch on the system, everyone is running it, it's cool, we fixed a man-in-the-middle attack, we're safe. And the only problem is that patch introduced a security hole that made all the machine running SSH from until version 1.226 vulnerable to attack. And you know, if you're the NSA, you're the secret services and everything, I mean, you're not going to put a backdoor that looks like a backdoor. It's not, you know, the Trojan horse, it means, you know, the meaning is like that. You know, it looks like a horse. It doesn't look like an army. Or, actually, it was not an army. It was a small cohort, maybe, or commando. But the same for a backdoor. Today, backdoors, they are security hole. And that's one of the problems I have, you know, when I hear talks about security, is that you just... and it's really linked to social engineering, is that today you can social engineer everyone and tell them, you know, this is not a backdoor. This is a security hole. It's a programming mistake. We cannot be liable for every programming mistake, but how do you make the difference between someone who make a programming mistake on purpose to create a vulnerability in a system and someone who make a real programming mistake? It must be hard. And that might be what happened with SSH. I had a fight last year, well, not really a fight, we had an argument French are a bit like Italian, they exaggerate a bit, you know, the words. So we didn't have a fight, but I had an argument with Theo Derat about this. Because he was defending those guys from, I think, Core SDI, or the guys that were involved in that patch. And I told him, I say, look, they can have the best ethics they want, you know, but if someone take their family hostage, or they put pressure on them, they say, look, if you don't help us, you're going to go to jail. And in intelligence community, it's like this. You know, they put pressure on you, it's a favor market. They do a favor, and they ask for a favor and things like that. You never know what happened, you know? Maybe that you know, the security wall was put there on purpose. This is just a theory, you know? But, you know, we have to think about it. When we say, oh, we cannot be liable, I had an argument about this also with Theo. I say, you know, vendors should be liable for security holes. But we didn't agree. After, we became really good friends at another conference. So compromising open source project, I think this is one of the highest risks related to social engineering. Then, that's one of the last example. It's how to hack someone who doesn't have an internet or a computer. Anyone has any idea how to hack someone who doesn't have a computer or internet connection? Anyone? Roberto? No? Well, Roberto has a computer and an internet connection, but if he didn't have a computer and an internet connection, I will become his friend. And when I say that, you know, I have to put a disclaimer here, because I'm a friendly person, and when I make a friend, it's a real friend, even if it's for work. And I will make friend with Roberto, you know, show him, you know, all the advantages of internet. I will show them all the advantages of computers and networks. You know, show them how he can improve his business, how he can improve everything, you know, communication with his grandmother or anyone. I will help him install the computer. I will even lend him my old MiTAC. It's nearly broken after a lot of war driving, which is probably in my bag upstairs. I will give him my old computer and say, look, you want to try internet? And that's how you hack someone who doesn't have a computer and internet. And that's social engineering as well. So you have to be careful, because there's not much difference, you know, between, you know, it could be a system integrator come to your business and say, hey, you have to do e-business, you have to do this. You have to be really careful when you choose who you work with and everything. People always say, oh, you cannot trust he's a computer criminal, he's a former hacker, you cannot trust him. And it's true, you cannot trust me, but, and here I say trust me, you know, it's better to work with someone you don't trust. You're going to do risk management, you're not going to take risk, you're going to be careful. And me, I try to avoid putting myself where, it's like when I did the thing with the hotel key with Roberto. You know, I asked him permission first, I got the key, and as soon as I got the key, I went to Roberto and said, hey, here is the key. And I asked him permission before. So I won't take risk, because I have a wife, I have 2 children, and I don't want to get in trouble anymore. But, you know, like system integrators, companies and everything, you have to be really careful with them, because they're not human beings, you know, they don't have feelings, they don't have emotions. And and sometimes they can be manipulated as well. You can social engineer a company. You know what happened in Europe? There was someone there's someone from CSC in the conference. Anyone familiar with Computer Science Corporation? Raise your hand. Computer Science Corporation? Anyone familiar with that company? So no one knows about Computer Science Corporation, but they own most of the biggest system integrator in Europe. They do the IT outsourcing for 97 airlines. I got that number in 2000. We did a 20-page report on them, and we broke one of the biggest IT outsourcing deal in France for one of the French Fortune 500. If you look on their website, they took it down, you know, but you can still look for it. You go on fas.org, and you will see that CSC, they've been working with the NSA for 20 years. They've been working for the NSA for 20 years. There was a speaker at my conference in March, and he was bragging to everyone, I'm from NSA. But when you look at the CV, it says CSC. And you know why? Because CSC and NSA, CSC is one of the biggest system integrator in the world. You know, they might have shares in the company, you wouldn't know. And they have an employee exchange agreement. This is not a conspiracy or theory. There is press releases and everything. They have an employee exchange. At any time, they can switch an NSA employee for a CSC employee. And that was a big scandal, I think, in Sweden and Norway, because the CSC, they bought a company that was doing the IT outsourcing for the social security number and the police records. So when they realized that the NSA was in control of all the social security number, and you know, people, they started to freak out and they tried to destroy the deal. But you see, this is an example where, you know, the people you trust, you know, could be the bad guys. And social engineering doesn't apply only to people, but also to companies. Now, let's talk about how to improve social engineering skills. Learning the language and the jargon is really useful. My ex-girlfriend is an architect now, and I was doing all her architecture project in 3ds Max. I made a mistake to say, oh, I'm a computer expert. So she asked me, every time there was a project, I had to do 3D modeling, which was cool because I always wanted to learn. I didn't have the opportunity. The side effect is that now, if I want to pretend to be an architect, I know all the jargon. I know how to look at a building, I know the structure, I can read a plan, if you know the jargon, if you understand the industry, it's really easy to do social engineering. You can call a telco, if you know about SS7, if you know about telcos and everything, it's going to be much more easier to do social engineering than if you don't know anything about it. Then learning savoir-faire and good manners. Like, I complain a lot, but when I complain, I never use bad words when I complain. I will push the guy until he uses bad words, and I mean, I have an advantage. But learning savoir-faire and savoir-vivre en français is good manners. Good manners is really important. You have to be polite. If you're not polite, you can be authoritative, but you have to be polite. And you have to learn to be confident and rational. You have to be logical. You cannot, you know, make a speech which is not logical, because if the person is smarter than you, she will destroy it. You have to fight fear and stress. As I say, on the phone, it's really easy to do social engineering, but when you're in front of a person, when you go inside the building, I remember when we went on the promotion floor of that particular bank, there was a security guard, there was a receptionist. I was really stressed, and I was scared. There was one, I was not used to do physical pen test, and so I was thinking, what I'm going to tell this lady or the security guard. And before I was opening my mouth to say something improvised. Yeah, that's one of the skills I forgot to say. How to improve your skill, you have to learn to improvise. Maybe you can join actor school or... and I just opened my mouth and she say, silakan masuk. I don't know if you understand bahasa Indonesia. It means, please, he's wearing a tie. He can do exactly the same thing. That's one of the tools you can do. You can wear a tie, or if you're a woman, you can wear makeup and sexy dress. Like, I think there's someone that just joined the penetration testing team of KPMG in Singapore who has a fantastic dress. Now it's one of the last slides, and I hope it's already 6 o'clock, so. How to protect yourself from social engineering. So this is not an exhaustive, I mean, there's many ways. I mean, just try to think, you know, you have to think, okay, if I do something, you have to do personal risk management. You know, when you see something, you have to think, okay, you know, should I take the risk or not, and everything. You have to challenge people. If someone asks you anything, first you say, if you see someone new, don't be scared. You go to him and say, hey, who are you? Why are you not wearing a badge? And you have to challenge people. Don't be scared to challenge people. Because when there's a problem, you get in trouble. And on the phone it's the same. Can I have a callback number? Or you just hang up. Also, you have to point to policies and procedure. You say, I'm sorry, it's against company policy to disclose this information. You have to learn those sentences. You have to be confident. Even if the person insists, just reject the person. You know, you have to be careful. If you give something, you have to think, okay, if I give him that, what can he do with this information? What can he do with my password? What can he do if he knows how the system works? Well, it can be security by security, but still, you know, you don't want to be the person who leaked the information. Even if he could have gotten the information from public records, etc., you just made his job easier. Segregation in duties, security management, technical solution like security. Gene Spafford from Purdue says that security is like technical solutions to non-technical problem. I mean, we see every day companies that spend $1 million in firewalls, in intrusion detection systems, in many products to protect the data center. They don't protect the people that have the password. Do you think if you connect using a password during office hour, do you think the IDS is going to raise an alarm? It's not. And you don't, like you have a development team. like probably, I think I've seen only one company that has proper segregation network, but you have people in development. They have to be protected too, as well as the data center. They're the one developing the application. So for example, every time there's a new banknote, they're gonna make an update maybe for the ATM. Or if there's a new software product or a new payment gateway they want to implement, they're gonna make updates. So it's not static. And changes, if you implement ISO 9001, you know, for improving quality and everything, or ticket, you have to do the changes, submit them to QA. The QA is going to do user acceptance test. In some banks, they have people looking for backdoors, programming mistakes, and things like that. But I've seen many companies, they only have 2 people in QA, and they cannot even, you know, find the power off switch on their computer. And user acceptance test is really important, but if you put a backdoor in development, it's really easy to pass it to production. So you have to consider that, you know, development is as important, you know, for security than. And I'm really disappointed with the system integrators. I tell them, I say, look, instead of asking us to check the security after you've done the work, you've defined the strategy, why don't you ask us, you know, to help you? Maybe if you do proper segregation duties, maybe you will sell more boxes or the same number of boxes, you know. But it's going to be totally useless if you put 3 firewalls to protect the banking application, and it's really hard, you know. There's really a problem like that. So what we're trying to do right now, we're trying to have a segregation, like to avoid conflict of interest. We try to push regulation so that a system integrator is not allowed to do security assessment. And we're trying to push things like that because there is a conflict of interest. And quite often, the people that will implement all the most the most sensitive systems, they don't know anything about security. Or they might know a little bit, but not enough. Or they might know only about a specific field, but they don't see the big picture, or they don't see that, okay, we're going to protect ourselves from this exploit, or this exploit, and not this exploit. But most of the time when we do a pen test, before we use a single exploit, we're already in. And we just, you know, we still look at the security of the application because it's necessary, you know, it's another vector of attack, you know, but we don't do it to prove that we can get in. We're already in. And we can even check the source before we look at the vulnerabilities in the application, because maybe we can get access to the source once. I'm not going to do a physical pen test every day, but once we get the source, after we can do better attack from outside. And I think the last one, yeah, security awareness. It's not perfect, as you've seen, you know, like in some companies they do security awareness, but we can still manage to get passwords. You can also do technology watch. And also one way, if you get a phone call, you get a request that you think, you know, maybe that's a bit fishy, transfer the risk. You say, let me transfer you to my supervisor or my manager or my boss, you know, I cannot take the decision, you know, to give you this information. And there's so many more examples, you know, so maybe I think we are a bit over schedule. So if you want to ask me any question, you can send me an email. Actually, the phone number on this business card is right, but the mobile number is not right. You have to come and ask me your business card. There's a question from Roberto.
Just curious, when you entered in my room and you were seeing the House of Freddy movie collection on my desk, how did you know that it was the full collection?
No comment. Yeah, you know, that's one of the skills you have to have really wide culture, you know, even the one that's not really recommendable. Any other questions? It was funny, you know, like another event, there was a guy coming up and saying, I have a question, and he came to the microphone and saying, it was a hacker panel, and there was four famous hackers, and they were telling how they were hacking the system and everything. This guy came up and said, can I ask a question? As a victim, I have firewalls, I have antivirus and everything, but I still get hacked. How can I stop it? He didn't get any answer. So any question? Anyone has been victim of social engineering here? Who ever done social engineering to your girlfriend, your wife, or... show your hand. One. Roberto, you have to show your hand. You do it every day with the girls. And then that's another social engineering trick. If you want to, if you look a bit European, you know, and you start taking an Italian accent. Actually, Roberto, he can speak perfect English with no accent. But if he sounds Italian, you know, it's easier. Okay, thank you.